Saturday, 4th of April 2026 at 7:02 p.m. here in Amsterdam, North Holland, the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Welcome once again to our cosmic journey. It is your Dev and Design podcast featuring two boys who are suffering under the detriment and fall of Mercury in Pisces. I am your ill-communicated friend, Jake. He is your poorly communicated friend, Trey. Hello, Trey.
Hello, Jake.
We're in different rooms. We're trying something different. We're just, we're trying to zhuzh things up a little bit here because I feel like this week has been incredibly frustrating from a communication standpoint. And so we're like, look, we got to do something to make things feel a little bit different and better. Speaking of communicating poorly, today's episode is called Paradoxical Thinking and Syncing.
Yeah.
We will have a sync surprise from Trey, which I think he's just being a little withholding about what his demo actually is, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's
we
how
all
I
do
am.
surprise demos sometimes. Totally fine. And I will try to speak intelligently about the paradox of security and usability as it comes to sync, and that's going to be very difficult during this time. But before we get to all of that and giving you thanks, we always start with the check-in question. Mr. Henry, are you ready for it?
No, probably not.
Probably not, because you know why? It's a hard one. Are you ready?
Right.
It's gonna
let's hear it.
It's gonna be a big one. We are in the Easter season. That means it's time to go egg hunting. And I believe I may have even asked you this question before. How do you like your eggs?
Oh.
I bet you anything I've asked you this before.
Have you asked me this before?
I think so.
We're so many episodes in. There might be some duplicates.
I bet you it's up there.
Sorry,
I bet you it was probably the last time it was Easter I probably asked you this question.
Actually, the really fun thing will be to compare my answer now with my answer before.
Yes. How did you learn and grow?
I think I have two answers, and it really depends on where I'm getting my eggs. So if I'm getting my eggs from a place that seems kind of reasonably fancy,
a reasonable egg establishment, yes.
Yeah, then I will get them Sunnyside up. So just never flipped, just cook the one side. If there's, the little bit of the white is runny, that's okay. But I want like a really soft yolk. But if it's not like a place that's going to go well, then I'll just have them flip it once. So just over easy.
Over easy.
Yeah.
I'm always over medium all day, every day, because over easy or Sunnyside up has texture issues, which I cannot stand. I wish I could be the type of person that didn't have texture issues with eating, but that is really what causes most of my eating issues. Good check-in, everyone.
Yeah,
good check-in. How do you like your eggs? Let us know below. Don't say anything weird and sexist. Thank you. All right, let's go to Trey to talk a little bit about his sync surprise. Mr. Henry.
I have been, as the viewer knows from the last few episodes, knee deep in sync. And this week in particular was just very frustrating. Honestly, it's still ongoing, but literally moments before doing this video, I was able to get a working end-to-end of sync that I can demo.
That's very exciting.
I know. It's like a major breakthrough.
It is a major breakthrough. This is quite the surprise.
Yeah.
Here, let's get to it.
Let's get to it.
Why am I talking off screen? There I am. Hi.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. There's two windows.
Yeah, exactly. So the window on the left here is already signed in, and I've gone through the first run experience. The screen on the left here is just hitting the application from a private window, so these two windows don't have any shared context at all. So it's just like you would load the application for the first time after we ship V1. On this other screen, I'm going to go to the login, and I'm going to log in with the same account that I am logged in with on the other screen here. And I'm going to sign in, and then we're going to wait just a second. Boom.
Let's just wait a second. Boom.
So,
signed into your account.
Just briefly here, you'll notice that there are no charts.
Whoopsie.
And that's because we're not syncing that yet. We decided to bite off more than we can chew anyway with syncing settings and only settings. Once we get more of the end-to-end actually working correctly, which right now it's just kind of held together with duct tape and baling wire, then we will start adding syncing perspectives, syncing charts, and all of the rest of it. But that's why you're not seeing this chart over here. That is expected. So you can see that we're on the settings page here. The settings are matched between both. But the thing that I want to show here is I'm going to pop pop up the dev tools just so that we can kind of see this live and in action. And I'm going to change a setting over here. And then we're going to wait a moment.
There's a mutation.
Ta-da!
Whoa.
How exciting is that? Here,
That's pretty exciting,
on over here. And the timing on that one, I think, was just a little bit weird.
Hey.
Yay! So it's on a relatively wide, a 3-second window right now, which may or may not be how we actually do this long term. So we might speed that up. So that's why in this demo, it's a little bit slow. This was just the demo with these two, like a private browser window and another browser window, but I could have pulled this up in on the phone. I could have pulled it up really in any context at all, web or in the Electron app. There you go. Sync is actually working.
Sync is actually working. Not all the way through, but we're getting closer. Well done, Mr. Henry. Big snaps to you. For me, I did what is going to look like a very minor amount of work, but it's definitely more than we would. We'll talk about why this is a minor bit of work here. And this comes to my TED Talk, and welcome to my TED Talk. Welcome to Sync and how we balance the paradox of security and usability. So let's talk a little bit about Sync, and the eventuality here is that we will be moving to our full version and we'll be rolling out Sync as Trey has shown it. And the experience looks like this. There is a first screen here that thanks you so much for being part of the journey of going from the pre-release version to the official version of Cosmic, because that is the genesis of our first version, is going to be having Sync. And then we'll have this set up your account to continue. And yes, we do turn this into a celebration screen. Yeah, I just wanted to show the design of these two screens. And these two screens took me about 2 weeks to write. And why were they so difficult? Because these screens represent the tension between two competing ideas. And this is the paradox that I would like to talk to you about today. These are two areas of focus in Cosmic that we care very deeply about that do create this paradox. And if you start thinking about the value pillars underneath security and usability, this paradox, you come up with privacy and anonymity under security versus convenience and speed under usability. Now, the thing about paradoxes is that the best leaders, I've come to learn, are the ones that can master paradoxical thinking, because paradoxes are, in this world, unflinching and stubborn. They don't quit. We want easy answers. People will offer you easy answers for them. Those people will give you very intoxicating ways to think about paradoxes and to simplify them in your mind. However, the easy answers don't exist. They do not exist. And so I want you to realize that us living in this paradox and walking through this with you shows, I think, a level of respect from our side that you can meet us here in this type of thinking, even though it's very uncomfortable to think about this. So when building Cosmic, we hear that folks want the convenience of having their own data everywhere and the speed to pull it up on whatever device they want to use, phone, tablet, web browser, wherever. Whether they're on an airplane, whether they're awake at 3 a.m. and don't want to ruminate and rather would do some astrology, literally something we heard from a practitioner that we talked to. But we also heard that they want the absolute privacy and anonymity in their data. Well, let's talk on the privacy part on the security side for a second. So why do people want privacy? Well, people want privacy because they want protection from bad actors. Traditionally, the bad actors that we had to worry about as the app creators, website creators, online tool designers and creators, these bad actors were individuals or groups of individuals. They were interested in stealing your data to either broker that or to blackmail. They would either broker or blackmail companies, meaning us, or the end customer, meaning you. And what they're looking for is money, they want leverage, they want disruption. These bad actors still exist today. But in 2026, we get a whole new group of bad actors that we have to care about, especially in astrology, and that is the state. The state represents servants of government that want to violate your security, meaning your privacy and your anonymity, to cajole or control through threats or, and I'll just leave it at this, worse. Okay? Because we don't know today in 2026 what the state is capable of.
Probably the state has always been a bad actor in some cases when it comes to privacy, at least digital privacy. We know that there are jurisdictions in which people might be running astrology software where having your data exfiltrated by the state could land you in jail or worse.
Yes.
As Jake said.
And to that end, perfect. Like, we haven't even rehearsed this. Let's talk a little bit about how we protect against both types of these bad actors, the person or group and the state, while still balancing that very precarious paradox of security, the privacy and anonymity, with usability, convenience, and speed. So we do that by putting our secure servers in Canada. Why Canada? Because it has the most speed and convenience for the majority of our customers while working in a state, in a society that has shown durability in tolerance, in openness, in stability, and the protection of minority rights. Now, Canada doesn't always get everything right, very specifically when it came to Native peoples' rights. However, they are trending in the right direction. There is no perfect society, there is no perfect person, there is no perfect company. All you have to do is look at what you have today, who is going to be your stable partner moving forward. Eventually, one day, when we want to increase our convenience and speed, we will also have data federated within an EU state as well. Now, the reason we don't do this now, or the reason we won't do this for version 1, I should say, when sync comes out, is because it's too expensive right now and we don't charge for the software yet. But that will happen one day, and we will fully make sure that the places where the secure servers sit will be places that have stability and that will avoid, at least from the data server end, the infiltration by bad actors at a state level.
So I just wanted to point out also that there's a cost associated with where we put our servers, for sure. However, if you're a customer in the EU right now, you might be thinking, well, am I going to experience a bunch of latency because the servers are currently in Canada? And the answer is not really. It might take a little bit longer to get that initial sort of sync if you've got like a bunch of data and then like the first time that you run it. Because of the way that we've architected the application, the lazy loading of sync data is actually very latency resilient. We don't care that much about those calls being returned instantaneously. What we care about is that you can render a chart at 60 frames per second. So that all happens completely on the client. And in fact, like just loading your data initially, like when you launch the application, it will load instantly because all of the data has been synchronized locally.
You might say like, wow, you've got a lot of rationale around like why you're making the choices you're making and what are you doing in order to protect my data? But you might think the way in which to combat all of this, forget like the entire set of bad actors in astrology, is to have the very black and white thinking about this paradox and just say there's no sync, whatever. Just the data stays on my machine, forget the convenience, forget the speed. This is how it should be because that is the safest way that you can ensure my privacy and my anonymity.
Yeah, this would be putting all of the eggs on the one side of that Libra
one
scale.
And we're thank you for saying eggs. So let's say we did that. And let's say that we decided to ignore the large number of astrological practitioners that we talked to that said that they want to have it all, that they want convenience, they want speed, they want privacy, they want anonymity. And let's just assume no accounts, no sync, we're getting rid of the usability part of it. No way to sync data to our servers, and it's just like it exists today. It sits on your laptop. Let's talk about that. If your laptop is plugged into a network today, you are still exposed to the possibility of an exfiltration of your data, especially if you are working with a Windows-only astrology software package, which shall remain nameless, as Windows is a much more frequented vector of attacks than other operating systems. Like, just because you don't do sync does not mean that you fully are secure. Now, let's say that you also are willing to not ever plug in your astrology laptop into a network. If you bring it with you, you are still exposed, because you are still exposed to state bad actors.
Yeah.
Let's say you travel with it and that you are walking through a security checkpoint in a state that has state bad actors. You are still vulnerable to those state bad actors. They can search your laptop. We're moving further and further away from usability, further and further away from speed and convenience. And we are saying there is no paradox. All we have is security. And that can't stand. That's not the way that we should be tackling these problems.
Yeah, it's not. There's no one size fits all for this. There's no such thing really as a secure computer. Any device can be confiscated at any point of interaction. And I also want to point out, because it might sound a little bit like our security story is host servers in a friendly jurisdiction or whatever. No.
No. That's just one part of a many layered story. That
Yes,
Mr. Henry
exactly. That's one part. Yeah, exactly.
Please tell the good viewer about the many layers of our security story.
We try to keep our stack as just simple and just easy to understand, bone dead simple, because the topic of security is already so complex. Our story of data at rest is it's files on a file system on the same physical device in that data center. It's not stored in, some cloud storage like S3 where, somebody's keys can be stolen and like whatever. It's just stored on a file. It's stored on a file system. The data in transit is the same way that all of your data is secured when you go to any website. Data is encrypted from your device to our servers, and also the drive that those files are being stored on, that drive is itself encrypted, and then it's also behind a private network and blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot more detail there, but we've tried to keep it just super simple so that we can provide a good story around our security.
And so us using these industry-leading standards for security and making sure that where your data is housed is not subject to state bad actors is really our strategy for making sure that we are balancing the usability and the security story of this very tough paradox to make sure that you are getting the convenience and the speed while also making sure that you are getting the privacy and anonymity that you deserve. And that's why these two screens are so dang hard, because we need to tell you, thank you for trusting us, and we really appreciate that. Yeah. And now we would love you to set up an account. And we understand that we live in a society where trust is not easily given. And we hope that this conversation might be a way that we can create that trust with our community as we start pushing more and more functionality to create great, usable, but also secure experiences for you all.
Yeah, exactly. Trust is very difficult to achieve and very easy to break.
We're trying very hard to put little pennies in the bank. We'll see how much we can get into the trust piggy bank.
Yeah, I mean, all of this to say that you will have to create an account in order to use Cosmic after we launch. That doesn't mean that you have to, pay for the software. Like, that's a whole separate thing. But we need, in order for us to provide you with sync, we need to have some way of identifying that you are something different than not everything else. It's very existential.
How about this? We just say, we need to identify you in order for you to have your data go to you and to you alone.
Thank you. It's like, it's very Mercury and Pisces to be like, what is the boundary of a thing? Like, who are you even?
To that end, Mr. Henry, what should the good viewer do with the rest of their weekend?
They should probably paint some eggs and then go hide them and then have kids find them.
I absolutely agree with that. Go paint eggs, go hide them, have kids find them, be well, take care, have yourself a beautiful Saturday or whatever day you watch this video. We love seeing your faces every single week. We hope to see you again next week. We'll be here. Will you? I'm sure you will be. Until then, goodbye.
Bye.